Welcome to Book Club. It's Mortal Biggie
Oh,
Shack.
we're
I'm
live. Oh,
joined
you're
by.
ready.
Oh,
Just go. I'm just messing. Go ahead. Just keep going.
all right. I'm here with Matt and Alan, and we're doing Action Comics Annual 1. And Matt
Mhm.
picked this book this week. So, Matt, you're the lead man. I'm going to give you the spot in one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Bang.
This book is Action Comics Annual 1. It is the second time in post-crisis continuity where Batman and Superman team up to fight against somebody. In the first one is in the Man of Steel series where it was issue 3 where they fought against the Magpie, and in this one the Magpie is the code word that Batman uses to get Superman to
To know
realize
that
it's
it's
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, what happens is you go in Louisiana. There are a group. There's a girl being not Louisiana, South Carolina. There's a girl being chased by a group of by a mob of local people, and she's a cute girl. She's looks like a teenager, but it turns out, you know what I mean. Like they're after a monster,
Mhm.
and
Giving it up
all
too
no
quick. What
evidence.
the hell is wrong with you?
What?
You gave it up way too damn early. That's like halfway past
Wait.
half the story.
It's only
Yes.
at the end that they reveal that she's the
Yeah,
monster.
you don't
Yeah,
find out.
it's only at the end, yes. But my point is, they think they're chasing a monster. If you let me finish here,
Spoiler
okay?
alert.
There
No,
is
the assumption is they're chasing the girl.
okay.
For no reason.
You cannot spoil a book that has been out for 37
All right,
years.
go ahead.
okay?
Good.
Anyway, the point is that Batman is investigating something very similar in Gotham City at the time that this happens, where there's
Yeah, it's
been
a serial killer
some serial killer going around killing people
ripping out their
using
throats.
methods very familiar to those of us who like vampire stories.
Hmm.
And as a result, he manages to find the clues in Gotham that leads him to this town where this girl was being chased by the mob. He gets there and discovers that the town acts very strange. They notice he's a stranger. They don't like having strangers in town.
Hmm.
And so basically, he realizes something is going on and that he may need some help. So he calls up Clark Kent. Please note at this time, Batman and Clark Kent don't know each other's secret identity yet. So he calls Clark Kent to contact Superman and tell him Magpie was the word he used to make sure that he knew it was actually Batman and not some crank call. Superman goes down. Okay, he tries to stop the mob from doing some stuff, so he semi rescues the girl. This is when we find out the girl is actually the bad person because she turns around and she slashes across Superman's chest. When Superman realizes this is an actual vampire because he's affected by the supernatural.
Yeah.
Long story short, after a bit of chasing around and stuff, Batman saves Superman by shooting her with a stake.
He doesn't shoot her with the stake. He stabs her with the
Yeah,
stake.
that's what I'm saying. Well, if you look, he's using a crossbow.
Oh, okay. Right, it's a big long stake.
It's a big stake, but it looked like he was using something to make
I
sure he
didn't
got.
think he was. I just thought he just poked her.
Well, I mean, we'll look at the panel later. No big deal. We'll look at the
It
panel.
really doesn't matter in the long term because he does have a bunch of stakes later. So okay, let's take a look. Okay, I'm at the stake page. Yeah, it's a really long stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're right.
So I didn't
I
see
thought
the
it was a
crossbow.
crossbow. My bad. Fact is, she's stabbed. She's destroyed. She turns into dust. They discover she's like 150 years old
Yeah.
and
She's
all that
like
other
older
stuff.
than Lincoln. Is what
Older
they
than
say.
Lincoln, yes. And Batman goes back to Gotham City because he knows now what's going on, and he tells Gordon to get lost because he's got to take care of some business. And all you see is him with a hammer and a bunch of stakes, and that's how the book ends.
Yeah.
So
because like her victims, right?
yes,
And
but it was
then, yeah. So her victims come back to life.
yeah.
and she
There were
has-
victims in the town. They took care of the victims in the town, but they managed to stop them from turning by killing her
Yeah.
because they hadn't turned yet. But he had to go back because it was too late for the others because they had actually died in Gotham.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it.
And you missed one other kind of key cool thing. Like there's a couple of places where they're trying to set her up as being the poor victim.
Yes,
And
that's always part of it.
And then Batman actually gets into trouble because the town folk think that he's a vampire.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then he kind of lightly beats them up. He's like, but he gets away. And then he is discovered by the girl.
Yeah,
And then she's
she
like, oh,
chases him.
she thinks that he's a vampire too, but in a different way now. Because she thinks,
Yeah.
because she was looking for help, actually, the
Yes,
whole time.
that is true. And you get the impression in the beginning of the book that she's trying to help her parents. What you don't discover till later is her parents are corpses in the house because they used to be vampires, but they're no longer
Living.
active vampires.
Mhm.
They've been taken care of one way or another. Yeah, good point there, Alan.
So,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, it's your book.
But the thing is, yes, they set it up. The whole point of the book was it was set up so that the teenage girl would look like the victim right
Yes.
through the first half of the book. And it's slowly as between Batman's detective work and Superman coming down to see, Superman takes a different tact than Batman because they use their individual methods. Batman in the shadows, sneaking around. Superman goes right to the cops
Mhm.
and asks what's going on straight out. And of course, although there's this hilarious little bit where the deputy doesn't think he's really Superman. It's like, and the sheriff's like, yeah, he's Superman. Who else is going to dress like this, looking like that? Like, I'm
And
sorry.
then flying in too. Yeah.
And it's flying in, exactly. So
Mm.
basically,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was a fun story.
Yeah, what do you give the
Considering it was 1987, which to me was a lull in horror books. There weren't a lot around certainly from the main companies in the mid 80s.
Mhm.
You had to get the independents as usual to get them, but they weren't a lot of them. So it was nice to have a vampire story brought in. And it's written by John Byrne, which is one of Biggie's favorite people, which is another reason why I went with this book.
That's funny. I used to despise Byrne, but I do buy him to sell them. But Byrne is growing on me through the years. He's just not as good as what everybody says he is. Like, people. When I saw this story today, it was when Jack Kirby died. His art representative called him and said, "Well, we got a new king." And I'm like, "Whatever, dude. Okay, Yeah, it's
Byrne-
cool. What do you?
I find Byrne has his good issues and his bad issues. I find like when his art is on, it's really, really on, and when his art is off, it's really, really off.
Mhm.
What was with okay, here's my question. I understood most of it, didn't know the characters. Who was the guy that looked like Superman before Superman came? Who the hell was that? Do you know what I'm talking about? I'll show
That
you.
was Bruce Wayne. That was Bruce Wayne
That
coming
was
into town.
Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
No,
that was
Bruce Wayne.
Batman. Yes, he was coming in disguised. I mean, he
coming
couldn't come in
disguised,
dressed as
He was
Batman.
driving some woman into town and stuff like that. While
Oh,
He needed to have a reason to be around the town so that the town didn't get totally suspicious that there was a new person in town. It's small
Oh.
enough that everybody knows everybody.
Mhm.
okay. Well, he looked very much like a Superman with a beard, or I don't know. I have to look at it again.
I found that in a couple of the books that we've read where Superman and Batman look very
Very similar.
similar.
Yeah.
They are very similar looking and most of it's because they're both large gentlemen, well over 6 feet. They both have the type of
Very
the
strong.
jawline. They're muscular and they're both dark haired.
Mm.
And both of them have similar hairstyles, at least until Superman lets his hair grow.
So what do you give the cover, Matt?
Okay. I like the cover. Okay. The cover overall, it gets the point across. You got vampire bats, you've got Superman, you've got Batman, and the cover's actually done by Arthur Adams and Dick Giordano, who
Oh, really?
did all the art. But at the same time, you can tell based on the stylings that John Byrne did some of the preliminary sketches, including he did the preliminary sketch on the cover.
Okay.
So I give the cover a 3.5 overall
Okay.
because I think 3 artists working on one cover is a little much.
Hmm.
I love that kind of stuff, actually. But okay, I like stories like that.
But overall, it's pretty good. I like the
Good.
detail on the bats in the back, and I do like the facial expressions on the characters on the characters. So I give it a 3.5.
So
Then it's
Inside
like
art.
interior.
Yeah, the interior art, it's a little less because apparently John Byrne did a lot less on the inside. Okay, he only did. He actually helped fill out.
Did he draw the
you know,
girl? It looks very Byrne style girl guy. The girl.
Yeah, well, what he did apparently was that he only drew the figures as a little quick guide because
Okay.
the interiors don't look as much like Byrne.
I thought
and,
that one splash page of the girl looked.
yeah,
like
Alan just said the chick. Like the chick looks very Byrne-like.
That's what I
But
thought.
that could also be because Adams. I find that Arthur Adams' style, at least in this period, was very similar to Byrne.
Okay.
Byrne was considered to be, at least in the mid '80s, was considered to be one of the. This was before Lee and Liefeld and all them started becoming the big thing.
Hmm.
McFarlane. Byrne was considered to be from the early '80s. I would say he was considered to be the hot new artist, so to speak, because he could also write.
All right.
Okay, so at least in my group of friends, people used to love John Byrne, like Norman Wall, because he's also Canadian, you know. So anyway, and I find that Giordano is a hell of an inker. Always has been. He's very good at following the style of whoever the pencilist is. So I would actually say the interior art to me deserves a 4.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. You went higher with the interior art. Okay.
Yes, because as I said, it's one less person working on it for the most part. And the cover's one picture. The interior art has some bad stuff, but then you get panels like this at the end, where the top one, where they're in the graveyard, that I absolutely adore.
Hmm.
I would give this panel a 5, just because I like the subject matter and I think it's well done. Where
Yeah.
you've got the 6 empty
The
graves.
interior art I thought was really good.
Yeah, so I'm saying that the interior art overall, especially like you look too, where the girl starts turning into dust after being stabbed,
Impaled. Yeah.
impaled. Yes, a good word. You know, it, again, does a heck of a job. So I think that the good outweighs the bad overall in the book. So I give it a 4 overall for the art.
All right. So we got story.
And the story, I love it. I give it a 5 out of 5. It's one of my
Oh, wow.
favorites. It's to me, it's just a silly, nice little read, and really cool.
It's
I
very
find that
self-contained, which is good.
it's self-contained. I find there are no leftover holes. You're not sitting there going, well, what if? What's this? What that? I find it's a very pleasing story, and I give nothing a 5 very often. Like, so in this case, I do it because, again, this has been one of my like. Biggie talks about his favorite books, you know. So did D-Wrong, you know, and you had your absolute favorite book of all time.
Mhm.
I would put this in definitely in my top 20.
Beautiful.
Okay. Not quite top 5, but definitely top 20.
You got one more rating overall.
Overall, it's a 4 because if you take everything together and play with it, I would give it a 4 because it's just the cover takes away from it a little bit.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm going to go second because I'm going to pick the book for next week, and I might have to look it up because I couldn't find a raw copy. So I'm going to just go pop myself on over here. Thank you very much, Matt. This is oops.
Do you have a copy of the book? Oh no.
I have a copy. I saw it last night. It's around here somewhere. I got 2 books. I'm gonna decide by the end of the show. Action Annual 1. I had to read it digitally. I couldn't find a raw copy. So you start off. Oops, the hell was that? No, that's not what I want. You start off with the mob chasing a girl. You don't know it's a girl. You just see a leg and some hair and a mob. Then you see the girl, big splash, and she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
Zoom in.
And she
And
looks
had,
like a
Mr.
teenager.
Mr. Peanut shirt. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, and the mob looks very terrifying. They don't look like good people. They look like they're trying to hurt her. And she's very pristine in a swamp. It's very comfortable.
And the small part is why I keep thinking it's Louisiana and not South Carolina.
Yeah, I was
So, yeah.
thinking like the bayou, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking some connection to Swamp Thing maybe or something. Then you got the little booty pic. I can see why Matt liked this as a young child. I could see Matt flipping through the pages.
Well, this came out when I was a teenager, but yes, I get what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, when he was a teenager exploring his his manhood. He saw this comic, and there's probably the reason why. She's very, very cute. Shoot. Okay. Then she gets to her home. She's like, "Oh, I made it home. I'm getting away. I might make it, you know." And that's cool. Then the mob's chasing her. She jumps in the water. She evades the mob. She comes out the other side of the water. You're very much thinking this girl is like,
I was hoping for a wet T-shirt part, but it didn't happen. I
yeah.
was a little bit disappointed by that.
And then she's like sympathetic. She's crying. She's saying, "I'm hungry. I'm tired. Mother, father, can you please help me? I'm nearly naked. You can see my crotch from a different
Well,
angle."
that's one heck of a hiding shot, I will say.
And then you
And
see,
yes, Jay Hood, Art Adams did draw this. He was the penciler for the book.
so the first sign of macabre right here, you see the parents
The
are
parents.
dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're dead. So what's going on? I didn't know. I never read this before. I was talking about the guy that looked like Superman. He looks very much like Superman. That is apparently Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You got to remember too, Bruce Wayne is a very well-known, visible person, so he's got to make some disguises.
He's wearing
Yeah,
the
when-
glasses too, so therefore he
Yeah.
must be in disguise. Just in the funny mustache.
Yes,
It's
and
like,
he's not doing matches Malone, so
I should have known it was Batman. I guess I just don't read well, but there's Batman. It's like, oh, cool. Now we're getting to some superhero stuff. Batman's checking out this place. He's doing his Batman stuff. He notices a weird body. He's like, oh, that ain't right. And, he's in
no,
the
that was the girl
house.
that he dropped off too.
Okay.
yeah, that is the girl he dropped off. That's right. Yes, the girl in the green dress.
The townspeople were after him.
And do you notice that she's drawn a lot like a Byrne character as well? She looks a lot like the girl from Alpha Flight.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking
Yeah.
that art very Byrne-like the
Yeah,
whole time.
and that's what
It
I'm saying.
reminded me
I
of
think,
She-Hulk very much
Hmm.
the whole time. Some of the way the characters are drawn.
like I said, a lot of the figure work he did the layout for.
Now, I don't like this just plain white background in the back. I mean, it gets the point across, but just not my cup of tea. And then he calls the Supes. He's up on a telephone pole. He's calling the Superman. You know what I'm saying? Clark Kent, can you help me? Clark's like, sure, man. I'll come help the Batman out. And there goes Batman. He finds the girl. He's like, oh, it's the girl. Well, he didn't say, oh, it's the girl, but the girl wasn't afraid like the rest of the people. She's like, oh, you're coming to help me, or something, because you look like a giant bat. I still didn't put it together at this point. I didn't understand. I didn't understand that they were chasing Batman because he looked like a bat. I didn't understand she was like.
I sort of guessed the whole thing from the very beginning.
Did
Sorry.
you? I did. No, it took me a while. So I thought the girl was very much a sweet little girl. I didn't know why her parents were dead, but maybe she's a little loopy or something. So Superman comes.
I thought that was normal. Don't you have your dead parents at your house?
No. So he's using a lot of his X-ray footage. He's like, these townspeople are pretty normal. I don't know about these wood stakes in the sheriff's desk, but everything seems pretty normal. And here's the part that Matt was talking about where he's like, "Are you sure that's Superman?" He's like, "Yeah, dumbass, that's Superman," you know. And
You notice too that the deputy is drawn like Barney Fife.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like from what's the show with Don
Andy
Knotts?
Griffith.
Don
Yeah,
Knotts, right?
Yes,
What's the name of that show?
Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith
Andy
show.
Griffin Show. Andy Griffin Show. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
I like Don Knotts, by the way. I met him in person.
Oh, that's neat.
That's cool.
So Batman's like around this chick, and he's following her, and he goes to the place with her, and she starts getting a little creepy, and then it cuts back over to Superman, and Superman goes and visits the hospital, and these are all the like people that have died, I guess, from these
No,
vampires.
they haven't died yet.
They haven't died yet. They're just infected, basically.
That's why they're infected. They haven't died yet. That's why they were able to save them by cutting the.
Well, okay.
But they all escape later anyway.
They were all friends of the sheriff and shit, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So then Batman starts getting like sick. Like the girl's like, "I got you."
Vampires have powers, right? They have the ability to,
Right.
Yeah.
get into your mind and stuff.
Yeah, Superman's like, "I can barely see in front of me. I'm feeling very weak. I gotta get the hell out of this place around this whore or whatever she is." And he throws himself out of the thing. He flops himself into quicksand.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, good, he's in quicksand. He'll probably die."
But
And
they make it look like he did die in a way.
Yeah,
Because he kind of sinks into the quicksand.
Exactly, but of course everybody knows that he's Batman, right? So
Yeah.
he's going to be fine.
he just outsmarted her, yeah. And Superman's like, "All right, I'm gonna go after her, try to figure this crime out." He sees like prison bars ripped open or something,
Yeah.
and this is where you notice that she's crazier than hell. It's like, oh, that don't look right, you know.
That has got to be the worst hairstyle I've ever seen.
It gets worse.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, the people were like pissed off. Are these vampire people or just regular town people? Or
They're vampire-ish people.
vampire-ish?
That turned, but if a vampire bites you, you don't fully become a vampire unless you actually feed as a vampire.
That's right.
So these people are like kind of like controlled by the vampire, but not quite vampires themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
But he
he
doesn't
finds.
want to hurt them because he knows the vampire lore too. So
Yeah.
he basically traps them in that thingy.
And then he
makes that thingy. He's a good construction guy, fast construction
he
worker.
quickly made a fort to put them all in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
this
then
is where he discovers that she's the main because that she can affect them.
Yeah, and there was no playing around with this being right here. I don't think we got another issue out of this person. Like she was.
They do set her up to be quite strong, that she could actually take out
Yeah.
Superman because she is supernatural.
Yeah, she scratched the shit out of him. But then he's like, "I'm not going to treat you like any other woman. I'm going to punch you in the face, you piece of shit." You know,
You're no woman. Basically.
Right. He's like, "No more. I'm treating you like a woman." Games, and she jumps on him though. She's stronger than hell. Like she's on top of Superman. She might actually have the advantage, and then she's turning full. "I'm gonna get your ass, Superman."
Yep.
And she's got him by the face. She's going in.
And slap.
Right through the middle of the chest. What the hell is that? You know, like what happened? Batman swum out of the quicksand, and he got your dumb ass.
And I like that he's still muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman saved Superman. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So she dies. They're like, she was born around the time Abraham Lincoln died, or something like that. Yeah, something around about Abraham Lincoln. And then the part where they were burying all the people that passed. Yeah, and Batman said, "Well, we're not done yet. I got to drive stakes in their heart," and that's the end of the issue. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my score.
Batman really knows what's at stake.
Mhm. I think people get the point, Matt.
Yes, I would
You
think
don't have to
so.
drive it in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I was beginning to feel a little wooden tonight.
Hmm.
Now the cover, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. I'm not
Okay.
impressed. Sorry. Inside art. Inside art. The chick was cool, but I'm not a sucker for just like hot chicks.
I am.
Well,
I am.
if there was like 3 or 4 cool hot chick scenes. There was a lot of empty panels. Like this was for me. This was the
Yeah,
best.
1987 comic journey.
Yeah, the double splash right here. That's my favorite. As soon as they open up, bang! It's very Kirby-like. They give you everything right there. That's a lot of fun. That's my
Without having floating heads.
floating
the one-
heads are underappreciated. There should be more of that. I'm gonna go 2.0 on Inside Art.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I should make my cover lower because that's about. I'll make up for it with the bad Inside Art. Where am I at? Story. Did I like D's as much as his? When I looked at it, I kind of liked it the first read over. The second time I skimmed over it, I didn't enjoy it as much. I'm gonna go 2.5. It's about an average, and that's lucky for me because I was thinking I might go lower than that. So overall, I'm gonna say this is an average book. It didn't do a lot for me. It had a hot chick turn into a vampire.
As they do.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's about it. That's all I got overall. So your turn, Alan.
Okay. So I am a sucker for hot chicks. So okay, but we'll start with the cover. Okay, I really wasn't impressed by the cover. Sorry. I think I don't want to go below a 2. I'm going to be nice to give it a 2, but probably even deserves below a 2. I just didn't really think it was that good. I do like the vampires on it. Didn't really something about it. It's too busy. I don't know. I just didn't really like the cover. Almost not really memorable too. The other thing is the interior art. I actually really liked. I liked that splash page right at the beginning. It caught me because I like Good Girl. And I thought the way things were laid out. I thought it was really well done. I thought the interior layouts and artwork was good. So I actually give that a higher score. I would give that like a 3 out of 10, 5. Now the story, I thought it was really predictable. I thought, this is kind of a common trope where you set up, misdirect at the beginning. Maybe I've watched too many vampire movies.
But I am going to throw another way. This came out at a time where the trope wasn't done as often yet.
Okay.
When
So
I was 16 and I'd watched a lot of horror movies over the years and stuff
too.
at that point still, it still threw me off a little bit.
Okay.
It didn't
So
surprise me, but it did.
I felt like
that
I had read it before I even read it. So I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going to
Fair
happen.
enough.
I knew how it was going to go. But I like that story. I like that trope actually. So I'm actually, even though I know it's a trope, I actually like the trope. I like, the cute girl being, so I thought that was actually okay. I actually would have recommended that they didn't reveal that her parents were dead until later. I would have actually waited on that a little bit longer if I were writing the story or doing the art. I think they should have waited until Batman got there. Waited just a little bit longer, kept her still looking innocent and pure a little bit longer.
I would agree that is one way they could have improved things a little bit. Yeah.
But that was one thing. So, I like the fact that it showed the vulnerability of Superman. I really enjoyed that part of it.
That's probably why I
And
didn't like it that much. I would be honest. I think that's what it was for me. It was
well,
bad.
you gotta have Superman can't be all powerful and
I know it
everything.
just
And you
pissed
got to
me off.
remember,
It's
there's
like,
another thing too. The Superman from the Byrne era, like right after post Crisis, was not as powerful as pre Crisis Superman. They tried the same thing they did with Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil back in the 70s, but this time it stuck better because, like, he couldn't go into space without oxygen, and he still can't
Oh,
today.
okay.
Like that kind of thing. That they actually have put more limitations on his powers.
So I like the fact that she was actually more powerful than both of them. Actually, like I always like it where the villain, in this case the girl, is more powerful than the heroes. But the heroes use their wits to kind of outflank the bad guy. Um, I like the fact that she was able to beat Superman. I like the fact that Superman was using his powers to, do what he always does. He has to protect the innocent and all that kind of stuff. I like the fact that he did all that. I like Batman being the detective. I
Mhm.
like the misdirect of her thinking, oh, he's one of us. He's another vampire, because he
Yeah.
looks the part, right? And then it was when he said, "Oh my God," kind of thing. That
Yeah.
and that was what was like threw her off. She was like, "Oh, you're not one of us. You can't say that word here,"
Yeah.
So I thought that was all cute.
And that actually was what set her off.
Yeah, and
So
I do like the misdirect that they used with the town folk. They always try to make town folk in a way kind of evil. That's another trope where you get the
or
whole
easily
village.
manipulated. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's one guy, hey everybody, get him!
Mhm.
Ah!
Yeah, exactly. So I liked all that. So I actually thought the story part was pretty strong. So I'm going to give my score. So I gave 2 for the cover. Actually, I'd give a 3.5 for the interior art. I actually like the interior art especially because lots of good girl like panels. I like that first splash page. I'd love to have that as a pinup. I think that's great. Um, it did really remind me of Burn. I thought it was Burn that did it. Um, and then the story, I felt was, as I said, a little bit predictable. I would give it a 3. I thought it was good, but not like something I'm gonna write home about or anything like that. I just thought it was a fun read, very self-contained. Played all the characters. You gave good sense of how each of the characters work. I thought that was all good. I always like when writing really shows the power sets of the characters. I think that's always good. And weaknesses of the characters. I thought that was really important. And then overall, I would give the story and book and the whole thing a 3 to 5.
you talk about weaknesses, and for once, the weakness is not kryptonite; it's magic,
Magic.
which
Yeah, I thought that was
isn't used.
interesting.
Okay, it was used quite a bit in the Silver Age with Mixoplick and all that other
Hmm.
stuff, but magic was not used much post Crisis, and therefore, it was not. It was a nice change.
It was nice change. I like the fact that Batman saved Superman as well. I thought that was good. Yeah, I thought it was good read. It was a very quick read. Like I was actually somewhat surprised how like I read it like in less than 10 minutes. It was like a very quick cover to cover read compared to all the books that we've been reading up till now that were a little bit.
Well, there's also not a lot of dialogue and or flavor text, right? Most of it is done through the visual.
Yeah. So yeah, Bleecker, you're right, totally right.
Mhm.
Magic is kind of Superman's kryptonite. I thought that was kind of cool.
2, 3.5.5, 8.5. I'm just adding up all the scores. I'll give y'all my book. We're just going to talk about it a little bit right now. 21, 37, 37.75 out of 60.
Okay, so slightly above
pretty
average. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst book.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
so we'll have to pick the worst book and then review it. It's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
So it came down to 2 books for me for what I'm picking next week. I'll just show y'all real quick.
Go
Okay.
go ahead and make yourself big, Biggie.
Okay.
Yeah, make yourself big.
Make the biggie. All right. X Factor 92, 1993, First Exodus.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's a fun book. Or Gwenpool number 25 from Volume 1.
Oh, interesting.
The last issue of Gwenpool. And I think y'all know more about. I want to teach y'all something I like about comics. So I hope I don't run y'all off, dude. But
No.
this was a good volume ender, like for a last
Okay.
issue of a series.
I
So I'm
haven't
gonna-
read it, so I haven't read either of those. So,
I haven't read either. So
Oh yeah, the first one was like a childhood one. That one's like
you
when
know,
I
I
started.
might have read it back in the '90s, but
It's so good. Both of them are two of my favorites.
Gwenpool.
Volume 1,
25?
number 25. Yeah, I would like to get a.
that's actually a rare book. I'm pretty sure. I think.
Yeah,
it was
I would like to get a
limited.
digital copy because this is actually worth like $40 or something, just the way it is.
So Biggie said he's going to send us each a copy of.
Yeah, right. I actually had two. I sold one, but that's my last copy.
Do you think they'll get here in time?
That's good. Oh, we got one. I can't.
Yeah.
That was a fun story. It just felt like an old black and white. They were stuck in a black and white movie, right, Alan? Like
It does
no,
have
to me, it
a
wasn't a black and white movie. I would say
You
like
didn't think
80s
so?
horror flick. It reminded me of
80s
so many.
it's a cheesy B movie, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's
I like
why
it.
I was like, I recognize this story. Because I've watched way too many horror movies in my lifetime.
Yeah. I've watched so many that I've had to ask Alan, so what should I watch on a few occasions? You know,
Yeah.
he's recommended movies for me because I've
Yeah.
run out of.
I mean, the collars on the cover's cool. It's not that Batman and Superman look bad. It's just it's not a great cover. The inside art.
You know what's funny? All the covers that we've done, all the comics that we've done, I don't think I've liked any of the covers.
I love fucking FF52. I think that's a gorgeous cover to me. But
I mean, actually, sorry, that would be the best.
That
Yeah.
was the best cover for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, easily. But
I did like one of the 3 Doomsday ones. The first book looked really cool.
I found that they all look the same.
Yeah, but that's just it. The first one was cool, and then the other 2 were copies.
Okay. As long as I actually have those coming in the mail. I ordered them like when I got the show. Now they're like.
And I did like the cover on the Uncle Scrooge book.
You
I
did
like
it?
every book. Yeah, I don't hate any of them.
No, I don't hate any of these books. Don't get me wrong. Actually, I thought they were all good. I always find that this cool because it does expand my knowledge of like the various.
And that's what I want. That's why I want to keep doing this personally because
Yeah.
I mean I've never read a Gwenpool book. I only read one
So,
Gwen.
Me either.
It's gonna be a crash course. This is the revealing episode. It's everything you need to know about her in one issue. So it's a huge. That's why I picked this one. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
so
great.
I think that's one good thing about this book club is that we're kind of pushing each other to be out of our comfort zones.
And we're not picking the same books that everybody else is picking.
No,
Like
yeah,
here, let's read Batman 400, or let's read, like,
a killing
or-
joke
or-
or whatever it is.
yeah, no, exactly. Like the Uncle Scrooge book was a nice surprise. I really wish I had made that broadcast.
You were
but,
going to give it all 5s, right?
I would have given. Actually, you know what? There was definitely 2 4s.
I needed somebody to balance out D. D was brutal.
He was hard. I didn't hate it that much.
I'm a big Carl Barks fan too, so I would have given him 4 to 5 at minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see good art in simple art. Like
Yeah, it was very simple, but
It's just he drew the ducks so well. There's a reason they called him the good duck
good
artist.
duck artist. Yeah.
Just like Kurt Swan in the 60s was known as the good Superman artist. They just
I like
no one
Kurt
knew their
Swan, actually.
names.
I actually made that comparison whenever I said it. I was like, it's more of like a curvature style. Like that's how Swan was. He kind of made the faces more round and shit. And
Mhm.
Well, there is a great. You can find it online if you want to look. Kurt Swan did a thing similar to Carmine Infantino when Infantino did the How to Draw the Flash feature. Well, Kurt Swan did one, but it was just Superman heads, and it put the many expressions of Superman, and it was all just the different, like him yelling, smiling, screaming, being mad, all that stuff, and it was just fantastic. It's just his pencils, and they look fantastic. You could probably find it online.
I saw
Where's
one
my-
about how to draw a Spider-Man that I thought was cool. I forgot, it was like something about 2 lines, and then you use that to like lay out your Spider-Man. I thought that was really cool.
Here's my 2 cents about the book before we go. So, whenever it's Good Girl on the inside, I was harder on the inside art because I feel like I'm being duped into liking it because I'm a sucker for eye candy. So I started
Well, there's a lot
hyper.
of eye candy.
I hyper focused on the other things, and I wasn't very entertained. The eye candy was great. Don't get me wrong; that was the best part. But the rest of it was like, am I really a sucker? I'm gonna give it a lower score.
I'm a sucker.
And then the Superman being, I mean, Superman shows up, he handles the rest of the regular, but the super powered villain, he just gets scratched and pounced on like a big wimp. It's like, so I gave that a bad score. I'm like, all right, okay.
You don't want.
Well, I just remember. Do you remember? This is the kind of sucker I am. Do you remember? Like I said, well, I don't have any zombie trap on one of these broadcasts a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, Rob watched it from my local comic shop and sent me an email saying, "Next time you're in, I'm going to show you where the zombie trap is." And sure enough, I sucker by 2 of them.
Oh, nice.
How much?
One of them is for my giveaway. If you'll.
Okay,
if you'll recall.
cool.
So yeah. By the way, if you don't know where he's got some horror and stuff like they're in there. If you haven't looked yet.
Okay,
there.
I'll have to look to see what.
How much were they? Are they like cover or?
Well, he had more of the risque covers than he had of the normal covers, because he had told me he sells more risque books than normal, so he ordered more of those.
I'm saying,
Yeah,
how
well-
expensive were they? Were they cover or what? How much?
Well, they're covered. They're covered in the. They're not covered in the box.
No. Price wise.
Oh,
Same
they
price.
they were $5 Canadian a piece.
Okay.
Oh, that's cheap. That's cheaper than cover.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I think at the time I think that the ones I bought came out during when the dollar was better. So, because later issues are more expensive, and he bases his prices based on what he pays, right? So.
I'll have to see what he has.
We're going to wrap up. I appreciate y'all for coming on. I don't think
It
there'll be
doesn't have the big one you're looking for. I did ask.
there'll be a hangout on Alan's Friday, I'm sure, and Matt's got a lot of stuff going on his channel. That's about it for this week. I'll be back in a week with book club.
Okay, cool.
All right.
This is a great show, Biggie. I hope we keep this up for a while.
Yeah. Who's next after me? I don't know if D will be there. So if D don't show up, it'll be Alan. But if D shows up, we'll let D pick, and then it'll be Alan and Matt.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Awesome.
We're out of here.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.